That's what came out like the last couple of months.
Talking about my generation.
It never does like
So we sell new because I used to wear 7:30 to like 6:30 every day. No, right? So it's like someone's like, oh, I'm normal. I now all of a sudden have no idea what that is. I don't know what normal means now. That's the thing that I'm like keep working on.
If you don't become the seance, you have to read.
Okay.
Superstar. You have a star. Oh.
No.
Burlesque. I've been rereading The Super Rationals by Stephanie LaCava. I read this last year around this time. Reading it now, like I feel like I'm, you know, understanding it a bit more, like understanding like tiny jokes and like wordplay, just these fun little like arguments and like the little like jabs. It feels very contemporary, the jokes, and I feel like as I'm reading it now, I'm understanding it more and more as like an examination of like relationships and honestly just like connection and the ways we connect and our little evasions, our little like self-protective measures, and I think like particularly in like heterosexual like dynamics and stuff. It's also just fun because as a part of like this mood reading thing, I've really just been like picking up whatever I think I might like at any given moment, so I decide on the day like what I want to read, and it's been nice, like not feeling particularly like beholden to something, but it's like I will get to that when I want to. So in this one you can have it like this, it's like your fisheye lens. Oh, wow. You can also like turn it like this and like see what you're feeling. Thank you.
People only found out their folks have died in the last 2 weeks. Right. In the last 2 weeks. Nobody has told them in the last 3 years what's happened to their family. So we're talking about our own friends who are here today have lost 6 cousins that they just found out about. Lost their father that they just found out about. Their brother today that they found out. Right. So we're gonna do our quick moment of silence. We're just gonna do it for a minute. And so thank you everybody. Okay. All right, thank you. I'm just gonna start right now.
I'm just saying free Palestine. These are flowers for Palestine. We literally just went to it's a Swana like Rose Center, right? Yeah, so we went to like this. My friend Najwa is like behind the camera, but it's a Swana Rose Center, and they're basically selling these flowers, and then the proceeds go to like emergency funds and aid for Palestine. So
got the flowers.
These are the flowers, gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Regina.
Free Palestine.
I was reading essays that it's sort of safe to come back to on, you know, what's going on in Palestine right now and in Gaza, and that whole conflict, which I already know YouTube like is definitely censorious about like certain words, and they have their own affiliations and their own political objectives, which like most of these major corporations are like very nefarious and scary. But yeah, I was reading and I was sort of thinking about, as I have been the past few days, just sort of heavy-hearted and like thinking about you know, the sort of gaps in political education. Someone said that language too. I've been thinking about language a lot too. I made sort of a post and I shared that on my Bookstagram to sort of think about. I was actually speaking with Alana from In Praise of Idleness. We were just kind of talking about like, it was a very productive conversation. That's kind of hard to like distill here, but we're talking about like what we were witnessing, especially on Bookstagram at that point, just kind of feeling like nobody was really talking about this, which I get where somebody might have created that space as like escapism. But I don't know, the argument of escapism is something that I also like struggle with. I think the thing about the escapism argument is that it kind of stunts people like spiritually, morally, ethically, in the sense that you're putting your comfort before, you know, and I'm saying this escapism as it pertains to like this current thing of like, oh, something is happening in the world and it's gaining this sort of attention and news traction, and then someone is talking about escapism or like protecting your peace. And I feel like that comes about from like the whole individualism thing, people not seeing the ways that our struggles and our lives are interconnected. I know currently people have been talking about how like Americans, Canadians, you know, the UK, England, like people have just been talking about how like like for instance like the US, like taxpayer dollars pays for Israeli like military and like pays for like Israelis train American like police force, you know, like all of these interconnected struggles. If we're talking about you know, black and brown liberation, if we're talking about police brutality, we're also talking about what is going on in Palestine. But it also got me thinking about language, because obviously, you know, that's a big thing. Like if we're thinking about a propaganda machine, if we're thinking about just, yeah, like words are not neutral. No, what am I trying to say? Yeah, honestly, like I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like language and like its use is not neutral. It's not objective. Like there is context behind it. What is someone trying to amplify when they say attack, when they say violence? What sort of violence are we talking about? You know, I can't remember the essay, but I mean to look it up. Or you know, it's not just one essay. There's been like multiple sources for this. But the understanding of, I think it was actually Saidiya Hartman that put the notion of like subjective violence and objective violence within my head. And you know, like obviously words move and words like mean different things, and I want people to sort of not just look at like words and language as this one whole thing, but to also contend with what is being symbolized, what is meant, you know, like words and meaning. Like we're book people, we're readers, we're thinking about what we're reading, which means we're also thinking about language and about rhetoric and about meaning, and we should do these things diligently. But yeah, I was just thinking about like terrorism. What is the face that comes to your mind when you think of a terrorist? What is the source of action that comes to your mind? What do you think about when you think about resistance, decolonization, colonization? I saw a tweet that was sort of useful, like people actually don't even know what colonization is. And I get like there's a way that words can be used a lot where you just don't know what they mean anymore, but it's like, you know, ethnic cleansing, genocide, war even. People have been using war a lot. I would say like news outlets have been using like war a lot in this context, and you would think people would stop to sort of measure where like war sort of implies a symmetry between like the people who are at war with each other, the warring sides, and that's not the case. Even as we're thinking about language, we're thinking about like context and history. This like history is like something I'm always thinking about as a reader, as someone who is interested in literature as well. The history of words, the historical context of words, events, culture. I want people to kind of be thinking about that. I want to be thinking about that. But yeah, just like taking all of those things, like not just looking at what is happening, but like being very critical. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my soapbox because my camera is blinking.